First light. Pennsylvania's Tioga State Forest. I went seeking a sunrise. I found fog. Views completely obscured. It should have been a disappointment, but it was a gift. I just had to be patient enough to receive it.
In the morning, fog comes out and starts to break away. It's really beautiful. It's already changed since I started painting this morning. That's the Grand Canyon of Pennsylvania.
PA Grand Canyon, or the Pennsylvania Grand Canyon. It is this special place where you can overlook this scenic view where you can see for miles at a time.
This particular park is just part of one of America's most ambitious state-led projects, the 13-county Pennsylvania Wilds. The Wilds covers 2.4 million acres in the north-central part of the state.
Our forest lands are here if you want to hike. What the gorge also has is at the bottom, this is a Pine Creek that is a destination for kayaking and canoeing. And then alongside that is a Pine Creek Rail Trail.
If that's not wild enough, this part of the wilds just happens to be elk country. Why Pennsylvania for these beautiful animals?
Well, it's all about habitat. It's all about the beautiful mountains, the clean air. Not a lot of people live here, so there isn't a lot of human interaction other than here at the Visitor Center.
Welcome to Pennsylvania's elk country. My name's Raleigh. I'm going to be your host tonight.
We have 2 teams of horses. Each one of those teams will take 2 rides tonight.
And autumn is prime time to see these majestic creatures.
Well, I've seen thousands of them, and I still stop and look at an elk when I have the opportunity, which is just about every day for me.
From the grand to the majestic, the PA Wilds offers a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Why did Pennsylvania decide these millions of acres was so valuable to not be developed?
I think we recognize the value of outdoor recreation in people's lives.
Folks are coming here to experience this rural region, and I think they really are surprised sometimes at how beautiful it is.
I just look at it, I can't, I'm just truly blessed, and the folks that come here, I think they feel blessed as well when they visit.
Thanks for going along with us. Bye-bye. Have a good evening.
Welcome to Hershey's Chocolate World in Pennsylvania. At over 3 million guests a year, this is the largest factory tour experience in the world. And it's awful delicious, too. It's a name we all know, Hershey. For more than 100 years, the company's been creating sweet confections for every taste. And you can see how it all happens inside Hershey's Chocolate World.
Hi, I'm Matt Spencer. I'm the experiential content creator for Hershey's Chocolate World. Chuck, you ready for the ride?
This is a bucket list experience. You bet I'm ready.
Excellent. Let's learn a little bit how we make our chocolate.
Hey everyone, welcome aboard the Hershey's Chocolate Factory Tour.
I just think this is mind-blowing. If you think about it, this is a factory that makes candy bars, but it's turned into an amusement park experience.
Yes.
As guests ride along the factory tour,
We're mixing all the sugar and milk.
they get an entertaining look
We send them through a roaster.
at all the processes needed to develop these famous candies.
What's really cool is a lot of these pieces are from the original factory.
Milton Hershey was an innovator, candy maker, and philanthropist. His cocoa-based factory gave tours as far back as the turn of the 20th century. Today, there's no shortage of ways to experience the world of Hershey. There's milkshakes, bon appetit, an indoor jungle that had to have shocked the daylights out of you. And don't forget to make that shopping list. I'll take one of these and one of these. They've got plenty of items you won't find anywhere else.
That's right. And here we are in our golden section, which has, of course, our world famous golden almond collection.
Best of all, you can create your own candy bar.
Welcome to the factory.
Here's where the money is made.
Absolutely.
My blood sugar's going up just looking at it. It's delicious. Folks here like to call Hershey's Chocolate World the sweetest place on earth. There it is, huh? And they won't get any argument from me. Thank you so much. This is awesome. Wow. I have literally been a kid in a candy store.
Thank you for joining us.
One of the most unusual destinations on our trip to perfectly Pennsylvania is the Ringing Rocks Park, in particular the Boulder Field. And don't leave home without a hammer. Take a look. Take a walk in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and it's easy to see why fall here is making headlines.
It's something that we always knew, but now the world knows that we were voted the #1 destination in the United States for leaf peeping.
The fall season is on full display
And it's so beautiful.
at places like Bowman's Hill Wildflower Preserve.
We do have forest areas, we have meadows, we have creeks. I guess you could look at it as a zoo, but for plants, yeah.
The story is the same across the county.
Lots of small town charm.
Preserve barns, bridges.
An outdoor wonderland
Hiking, biking.
with everything a visitor could want or expect. And a little something more. Well, I look at where we're at now, and I've got to tell you, I have never seen anything like this in my life. What do we know about these rocks?
Yeah. So I always tell people, I took a geology class in college. I did. Not the geologist, but what we understand, this was bedrock that's been here for 200 million years. The bedrock broke apart. Now we've got these amazing boulders.
This huge boulder field is located inside the very popular and very appropriately named Ringing Rock State Park.
So you got to find the rock that rings. They say 1/3 of them will ring.
That's right. The rocks here, they sing.
You hit them, it sounds like a bell. Not all of them, but a lot of them.
I'm not finding a real good one right around me here.
But when you find one, you see people yelling, and we're rejoicing here.
Exactly.
We found this.
When you find one, you know you found it. And it's, there you go.
There I go. The exact reason the rocks ring is an ongoing mystery.
Different sounds, different tones, and you just never know what you're gonna get.
Even more reason thousands of people flock here every year to hear
Hitting this in different spot.
for themselves.
Gives it like different pitches where you hit.
Fall in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, a place to truly experience the sights and sounds of the season.
So we're here to see the trees and the leaves and hit a few rocks.
This isn't Scotland or Wales, it's Doylestown, Pennsylvania. Home of a 6-story castle that's jaw-dropping outside and mind-blowing inside.
Let's take a look up.
And wow. In the United States, is there anything like this?
There's really not. You're standing in a castle right now, also a museum.
The Mercer Museum is home to a core museum that celebrates, well, stuff. And it looks like every square inch of space is used here.
Yeah, you'll have things hanging from the ceiling, boats, chairs, cradles, even an antique fire engine. You'll also have nooks and crannies everywhere.
The design? a concrete labyrinth of hallways and stairs, rooms in every direction. Every one of the 17,000 plus objects inside the Mercer Museum,
You need to have a numbering system.
cataloged,
Big white numbers.
labeled with precision,
You can actually access that still in 2024.
and precariously put on display for all the world to see. Who was Henry Mercer?
Henry Mercer was a man of many different talents. He was an archaeologist, he was a museum curator, he was a historian.
So you're looking at stuff that's basically pre-industrial revolution. Why did he feel that was so important?
Henry Mercer wanted to preserve our pre-industrial past and handcrafted tools. He called it archaeology above the ground, where before it gets lost to history below, we can preserve it and have people visit in a castle museum.
You can learn even more about Mercer by visiting his home. Another castle, of course. 44 rooms full of books, pictures, and antique treasures. He had this castle, which is massive, but it still wasn't enough to hold all of his stuff. And he builds another building, right?
Yeah, so he builds the Mercer Museum a few short years after building his home, Fonthill Castle. Fonthill is a very personal home. You know, it's an expression of Henry Mercer and who he was. But the Mercer Museum is not about Mercer. It's about everyday people, everyday life. He wanted it to be a separate building, a gift for this community.
Quirky, eclectic, you bet. But now, 100 years later, one of Pennsylvania's most popular cultural attractions. A trip to Pennsylvania really isn't complete without a visit to the Gettysburg National Battlefield, a place full of countless stories of horror and heroism.
I don't have words to fully describe what Gettysburg means to the nation. I think to every person who comes here, that idea is going to be different. It's going to be unique. There's more than 1,300 monuments and markers, from the smallest of markers that may only be about the size of a small box, all the way up to massive monuments that would maybe remind you more of something in downtown Washington, D.C. You can follow along where the battle took place, in many cases just by looking at where these monuments are lined up, and also following where the cannon are lined up. Are they shooting in this direction or that direction? So you can really follow along if you kind of know what to look for.
There are some places in these Chuck's Big Adventure trips that we've taken that I think, everybody ought to see this. But I really feel that every American at some point in their life should come here to really understand what this country was and what it's become since then.
Absolutely, and that's something we actually have conversations with visitors about. That this winds up being, in many cases, a bucket list location that every American should and probably wants to visit at least once in their lifetime to truly understand what was at stake for the country, what was at stake during that war, and what was at stake during just this battle. The sense of being awestruck is very common. Knowing that you are able to stand and to walk and to journey in the footsteps of the soldiers who were here for those fateful 3 days in 1863 really gets a lot of visitors very, very choked up because of the ability to get that close and be right there in essence with those soldiers.
Inside this Gettysburg Church, songs to honor history.
We shall meet, but we shall miss him. There will be one vacant chair.
Tell me about the role that this production plays in the church.
On the first day of the Battle of Gettysburg, the Army commandeered this building and turned it into a hospital.
When a year ago we gathered, joy was in his
And we have stories of the people that were here, and we feel it's important to keep those stories alive. So we do it through songs.
We shall meet, but we shall miss him. There will be one vacant chair.
The realities of war, evident in the stories of licensed battlefield guides.
And these soldiers, both sides have made their choice. And we see one side is successful and one side is not. And we look at the consequences of the war down to today. And I personally feel there's tragedy, immense tragedy on both sides, but it's worth the cost. It's worth the cost.
There's a story on every corner in this town and every part of this battlefield. So many men, each is an individual story, and to read the accounts of what some of these men went through here and experienced here is incredible.
Looking at this peaceful countryside, it's hard to imagine the terrible battle that made Gettysburg famous. But the past is preserved here every day, thanks to a dedicated group of men and women determined to not have history be forgotten.
Linger to caress him when we breathe our evening prayer.
There are so many beautiful aspects of Pennsylvania, including this. We're going to take you inside the best all-time work of American architecture, Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water. The Laurel Highlands of Pennsylvania, a perfect spot for a serene getaway, just maybe not in the spot you might expect. The pictures don't do it justice, Ashley. This is amazing.
Yeah, welcome to Falling Water. It's considered to be the very best work of Frank Lloyd Wright, and it illustrates his philosophy in the best way.
Commissioned in the 1930s by the Kaufman department store family. As the name implies, Falling Water is perched right above a waterfall. One of the great views in America, no doubt, but this was not the view the Kaufman family intended to have, right?
It's true, yeah. So when the Kaufmans commissioned this project with Frank Lloyd Wright, they thought that the cabin would be designed where we're standing, looking back at the waterfall.
It seems like this house tries to blend what's outside, what's inside, but what is inside draws you outside, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So the whole time you're indoors at Falling Water, your attention is being pulled back outside, and you're almost made to want to go outside.
So 1930s, in the Depression era, this house doesn't look like any house, right? And how was it received at that time?
The open floor plan would have been very surprising in the 1930s. The low ceilings, the low sitting furniture, I think all of that would have been surprising to most visitors in the 1930s.
A true architectural marvel, both inside and out.
It's a house that's designed to bring people closer to nature. And I think that that is something that I hear our visitors talk about, is how good it feels to be here and to be in harmony with the outdoors and just spend time immersed in nature.
In the world of vacation rentals, amenities are everything.
Here we have the original cabinets.
The more you have to offer,
Shower and a toilet here.
the better.
We have a fire pit, 3 bedrooms, foosball table.
Competition is fierce.
You're absolutely right. There's definitely a lot of competition, but when you're unique, it certainly sets you apart. Hi, my name is Naomi Brown. My husband and I own the Shoe House.
That's right. A house that looks like a shoe.
You know, life brings you opportunities that you don't always expect.
Owning the state's quirkiest,
A stained glass window with a shoe on it.
kitschiest,
In-step suite.
weirdest rental came with a historic backstory.
That is correct. The Shoe House was put into service in 1949, and it was built actually with the intention of being a guest house, because the gentleman who built it owned a chain of shoe stores. His name was Malin Haynes, and he dubbed himself the Shoe Wizard because he was a marketing genius, which was unusual back in the 1940s, right? But he loved to just kind of bring a special joy and uniqueness to people, and this shoe house was definitely one of those items. So I think they're surprised by the fact that there's actually 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. I don't think most people expect that there's that much space there.
Do you call it quirky, historic, weird? How do you describe it?
I call it fun.
There you go. I liked it too.
Because it's very unique, but it just is something that you don't get to see a lot.
We've really enjoyed the outdoor beauty of the Keystone State, but you really can't tell the whole story without going underground. Most of Pennsylvania's natural beauty is best observed by looking up, but the story of this state can't be fully told without looking down, way down.
This was a big mover here. If you did not work in mining, you worked in an industry that supported mining.
This is mine number 9. A coal facility located smack dab in the state's anthracite region.
We are the oldest coal mine you can tour in the United States. And this mine was the longest continuously operated underground anthracite coal mine in the world. Our mine ran nearly nonstop from 1855 until June 22nd of 1972.
20 to 24 miles of tunnel.
What do people ask when they come down here?
Why? We do. We get that question a lot, is why would you do this? You know, the Atlantic migration, these were poor dirt farmers, essentially, and this was, yes, horrible working conditions, but it was steady pay. You'd have a roof over your head, and you could probably take decent care of your family compared to what you had in Europe.
You know, Zach, going through this mine, I just can't help but realize these men worked hard.
Oh, yeah.
And they had a very tough life in one sense.
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Mining anywhere is one of the most dangerous occupations you can have, of course, even today. It still is. If you were in your 50s working in American industry over 100 years ago, you were old by that standard.
Mine number 9. an underground treasure that's even more valuable now, in a world largely separated from the age of coal. I imagine when you have visitors here, many of them may have been, their grandfather was in the mines or their great-grandfather was in the mines, and they've got plenty of stories, I would imagine.
Oh, they do. So that first generation grew up with, oh, I'll go into mines, I'll break your leg, you ever go into mine, go to school. Go do that, do something better than I did working in the mines. Grandchildren, though, what did Grandpa do? They're removed enough from it, they want to see what Grandpa did.
And I would think that that would give those grandchildren an extreme appreciation.
It does.
For how hard they work.
It does. Oh, it does.
Autumn in the Poconos is full of sounds. The sound of rustling leaves or a roaring creek, the sound of fall festivals, and the sound of locomotives taking folks on a dazzling tour of fall foliage right here in the Poconos. Pennsylvania's Lackawaxen Valley is full of autumn sounds.
61 and 62 in this car to the left towards the back.
The Stourbridge Line scenic train
All aboard!
has another packed excursion.
Into the left.
The train is important to this area because in a very real way, America's commercial railroad began here.
Okay, everybody, are we ready?
Jeff, not only are you a conductor, but you're a photographer.
Photographer.
Are you a short order
I'm in
cook?
the ticket office. I help with I help with the dinner train too, but I don't cook.
What a fun job, huh?
It's not a job when you like what you do. That's makes it a whole new thing.
It really shows.
So, oh yeah, yeah, I love what I do.
The family-oriented ride takes guests along a serene river with stunning views of the fall colors.
To make it so everybody gets a chance to see the river, we do switch sides halfway through the trip. It is a challenge. You're going over there. Okay. But I think the people do appreciate once they get through the turmoil of it all, doing that.
The other one in the back there,
But everybody's patient. You know what? We're all in this together, and you do it as a team.
From passenger
Once you get your elbow past there, it'll...
to participant.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Jim Thorpe River Adventures offers a wet and wild way to see the Poconos.
I think the river itself is just beautiful. There are sections of this river that you don't see human beings in often, even if it's fairly close to civilization. But for us, running a river company, being the vehicle that people use to create a memory and to create family memories or adventure memories, it's really, my staff and I just love that part of it.
The rapids offer a thrilling ride, but there are long stretches of peaceful water perfect for enjoying the view. Woo! The thrills of the river are a great way to bring you and your loved ones closer together.
We just took a bath.
Whether it's riding the rails or riding the river, turns out that two journeys led by two great guides makes for one unforgettable experience.
That was a thrill, a rush,
a big adventure.
Woo!
Well, I hope you've enjoyed these stories as much as we've enjoyed bringing them to you. And I must say, this trip has been perfectly Pennsylvania. I'm Chuck Lofton. See you next time on Chuck's Big Adventure.